Nick Compton and James Hildreth both scored their second 50s of the match as Somerset easily earned a draw that neither they nor Middlesex would have really wanted at the start of this LV County Championship game at Uxbridge. The final day began with Middlesex on 169 for 2 in their second innings with a lead of 243, and so the first part of the morning was all about getting the necessary runs for a declaration. Owen Morgan was the ideal man to have in order to push the score along. He made a 50, having begun the day on 42, but was soon out for 60 when he holed out off George Dockrell after he and Nick Gubbins had added 28 runs off the opening 26 balls of the morning. Paul Stirling was promoted to number 5 in the order, and he showed why by uppercutting Craig Overton for a 6. Meanwhile, Gubbins was closing in on a maiden championship 100 as he advanced from his overnight 67 with this maximum off Dockrell. Alas for Gubbins, he fell 5 runs short of his ton after a horrible mix-up in the calling with Stirling and some quick thinking from Dockrell. It was a sad end to a fine near 4-hour knock from the young left-hander. You had to feel a little sorry for Stirling, who was then involved in another run-out as he sent Neil Dexter back after the latter aimed for a second run. This time it was Peter Trigo who effected the dismissal. John Simpson decided that he wouldn't risk running too much. He drove Dockrell over long on for the third 6 of the morning as Chris Rogers delayed his declaration. That finally came after using up 22 overs in which the total was advanced by 146 runs, Stirling helping himself to his 4th 50 from just 5 championship innings this summer. This one made off only 37 balls. He ended unbeaten on 60 out of his side's 315 for 5. That left Somerset 72 overs to chase down a target of 390, but they lost Marcus Trescothick in the 7th over when he edged Tim Murtagh to Morgan, who had a juggle before holding on at slip. The 390 looked an impossible target, but Middlesex claiming the wickets they needed in 72 overs did look possible, with Toby Rowland-Jones causing Compton some early problems. Simpson then put down what was only a quarter of a chance really down the leg side off Ravi Patel, who also had a major role to play on a last day pitch. But he didn't get the purchase he would have been hoping for, and that allowed Chris Jones and Compton to take the total to 61 after 20 overs, another 329 required now from the last 52. If Somerset were thinking of attacking that, then their chances were severely dented when Jones on 25 edged Rowland-Jones to David Milan. A wicket followed up in the bowler's next over as Alvaro Peterson got a leading edge to Dexter to leave the visitors on 61 for 3 and in some trouble. So one result had been taken out of the equation, and an important Middlesex win was soon to go the same way as Hildreth and Compton combined to ensure that this game would be drawn. If anything, this pitch had got better to bat on as the match wore on, and neither of these two batsmen had to block their way to the safety line. Instead, both played plenty of shots as they took their team to the tea break on 115 for 3. Middlesex left with just the final session to try to get the last 7 wickets they needed. Both batsmen were instead able to complete their second 50s of the match. Compton got to his of 97 balls this time, a more pleasing innings than the one earlier in the match. This was his 7th 4. He would have enjoyed taking on his former county in this manner. Hildreth took Patel for 4 successive 4s, the third of which took him to his half-century, this one arriving off just 60 deliveries with 11 boundaries included. While some may criticise Rogers for batting on too long in the morning, it was this innings from Hildreth which emphasised that a more generous declaration would have been a risk. Hildreth was out for 60, lifting Patel out to Stephen Finn at long on, the dismissal coming after the two had put on 93 runs in 19 overs for the 4th wicket. There were still the best part of 29 overs left in the day, but in the end only 14 of those were used as Compton and Alex Barrow easily saw out those in adding another 49 runs. With 187 needed of 15 overs, both captains decided that a draw was the only possible result, and that was that, Compton ending the match on 83 to go with his first innings 94. A draw was not the result that either side would have wanted, but both would have been okay with it after Yorkshire were denied a win by Durham in Leeds. Here, Middlesex took 11 points to Somerset's 10, and that leaves the table looking like this. Somerset are in third, 1 place and 2 points above their hosts in Uxbridge, with leaders Yorkshire still very catchable with 5 matches still to go. The good news for Somerset is that 2 of those games are against whipping boys Northamptonshire, including their next match at Wantage Road starting on Saturday. Middlesex sit out the next round of matches before heading to Scarborough to take on Yorkshire.